Hello, everyone, and welcome to Overexposed, a BWRM podcast where we delve into the ins and outs of running a real estate photography and videography business. My name's Dave Temple, and you can now watch the podcast on YouTube at BWRM Official or listen on your favourite podcast platform. So far in this podcast about real estate photography, we've yet to actually talk about real estate photography. And yet for most of us, it's the excitement of seeing interesting or beautiful houses that keeps us inspired. So this time we're chatting to two of our members who recently shot houses that excited them. Welcome Tina Berg from the southern tablelands of New South Wales, and welcome back Liam Madden from Sydney North.
Hey, Dave.
Thanks for having us.
Good stuff. Welcome back. Now then, if you're watching on YouTube, you'll be able to follow along with the photos and video clips, but we'll try and keep things interesting and descriptive for our podcast listener too. I want to set the scene first for both of you. You both sent in houses that you did recently. Let's get an idea of the location of the houses that you've chosen that you really liked. Tina, first, you sent one in a place called Tarlo. Just give us a sort of an overview of where Tarlo is and what it's about.
Okay, so Tarlo's located between Goulburn and Taralga. The property itself is 13 minutes north of Goulburn, northwest of Goulburn.
And so Goulburn's sort of country New South Wales, would you describe it as? Or
Yeah, Goulburn's Australia's first inland city, so very rural. And the particular property is called Tarlo's Gap. So it's you can actually sit on the back porch of their house and look over the lights of Goulburn at sunset. So it was quite pretty.
Very nice. And it's a small town, Tarlo, presumably?
Tarlo's not actually a town. It's just a little place that you drive through to get to Taralga. Yeah.
Sounds perfect to me. I'm in already. And contrast, I imagine, between the two houses is going to be quite striking as well. So, Liam, yours was in North Kelco, is that right?
North Kelco, yeah, North Kelco. So that's sort of on the, I guess you'd say, the southern end of the northern beaches, maybe 2 or 3 beaches north of the famous Manly Beach. Yeah, it's pretty built up, but it's still got that quality about it that people want to live there because it's still a town. There's no real shopping centres there. There's a corner shop, that kind of thing. So it's almost like a your coastal town, but still you're in Sydney. So
Yeah, so close enough to the city to get into if you need to, but far enough away if you don't.
Exactly. With no traffic, you're probably only 25 minutes from the city, but in peak hour, it's probably more like 45 minutes to the city driving, and not too far away from ferries, buses, that kind of thing to get into the city. So it's a really good spot to live.
And still quiet enough that you can have quiet coffee by the water without too many.
Exactly right. Like the beach there, for example, has the surf club with a cafe, and that's it. So you need to get in your car to then really drive off to get any decent food. Whereas
all you need, isn't it? Really.
Exactly right. Whereas Freshwater Beach is the next beach south. That's got a town and a row of shops and an IGA. So yeah.
Perfect. All right, sounds good. And like I said, couldn't really have chosen two more contrasting properties either. So
exactly right. I've seen Tina's pictures. There's lots of grass and fields, and mine's lots of beach and water.
Exactly. All right. Yeah. So specifically, the house location specifically, where the house sits. We'll carry on with you, Liam. It's not quite beachside or close to beachside.
It's one beach. It's a road that runs across the top. So directly across the property is a pathway down to the beach. So it's almost as beachfront as you can get in Sydney. I forget the number, but there's only a very small number of houses on the beach in Sydney. So this would be almost as close to the beach as you can get.
Yeah, and so not far from walking if you want to surf in the morning. Or
it'd be a 50-meter walk and you're on the sand. So just through a nice little rickety path.
Very nice. For you, Tina, presumably completely the opposite. I'm imagining a hill in the middle of nowhere. Is that pretty much it?
Yeah, pretty much. So it's the house itself is off Taralga Road, so it is the main road between Goulburn and Taralga. And like I said, it's 13 minutes from the Goulburn CBD, so you pretty much doesn't take you long to get into town if you're heading to Goulburn to do your shopping, go to the doctor's, hospital, anything like that. But it's surrounded by bushland, so you can easily go for bushwalks on your own property. It had its own tennis court. It had its own clay target trap set up on the property
Wow.
as well. So there was really no need to leave unless you needed food.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What sort of block size was it? Can you remember?
Oh, I can't remember off the top of my head, but I'd be guessing around 40 to 50 acres.
Oh, wow. Okay,
Yeah.
so that is a big property. Yeah, that's we c in the UK, we call that a town, not a property. And I guess the benefit of being on the hill is that you can already see, whether Goulburn's busy or not and decide whether you wanna go in there before you leave the house.
Yeah, and
So
not quite that close, but you can see the lights of Goulburn, from so around where the house was is it's quite cleared, that they'd cleared, quite a bit of land, where the house was built, but, surrounding that was just bushland. Beautiful, peaceful. Yep.
Looks great.
very nice. All right. So is that a fairly typical location for both of you shoots? Most of yours beachside, Liam, and most of yours country, New South Wales, Tina?
Yeah, I get a good mix of rural and residential. The majority of my properties are in Goulburn itself, and you do have a lot of, the rural properties are a lot of, on the outskirts of Goulburn, but not just necessarily towards Taralga. There's a lot of surrounding, towns like Crookwell, um, that, you know, I get a lot of, sort of acreage style,
Yeah.
hobby farms, I guess you'd call as well. Yep,
So
Yeah.
it'd be a good mix of sort of suburban stuff and
yep,
just your standard sort of 3 bedroom, 4 bedroom
yep,
houses on 600 square meter blocks, and then going out from there, it would be semi-rural and farmland
yep,
type things. Yeah.
Yeah.
yep.
And for you, Liam, presumably,
Yeah, similar. So mine, not everyone can be on the beach, obviously, but mine's sort of block size and house style is pretty similar to what I would do normally. Nothing too, just obviously get further away from the beach and
yeah,
still just in living in suburbia, but you're only 5, 10, 15 minutes from the beach. That's sort of my
yeah,
standard.
excellent. All right. So your first impression of this property, obviously, it stood out to you in some way. What was the first thing that you did you immediately notice that it was going to be there was going to be something special about the house, or was it a particular room that you went into that where it hit you, or
Yeah, so mine was a bit of a backstory. So I actually got one of my best clients, or probably my best client, listed this property, and he called me probably 2 or 3 times just to say, "Hey, these are real estate agents that own this property, so be on your best behavior. What can we do? How do we make it shine?" So we were already like, "Okay, we've got to be on our toes." And to be honest, every room in the thing about our property was every room was great. Sort of like it had different either a different view of the ocean or it was styled awesomely, or out the back there's the pool that everything flowed onto, even had the rumpus down underneath that had one of those windows that looks into the pool. Just everything, every room was great, to be honest, styled really well, shown really well. And we obviously did video photos. We did night video as well, with transitions from day to night, and everything looked great. So it was just, that was what we loved about this one.
so you knew it was going to be good before you turned up because you'd already
Oh,
been
we knew it was
pre-warned?
going to be good. So yeah, like when he called me, he was just sort of like, just so you know, it's epic. So he made sure I was on site, but not for any reason, just apart from, look, we know we're dealing with obviously real estate agents as vendors, so they know what they want as well. So just turn up with an open mind. And so Matt, the agent, is incredible as it is, and then we had to also deal with the vendors as well. So yeah.
Yeah. And how about you, Tina? Did you get pre-warned, or
Funny story, I didn't know yours was also a real estate
Oh,
agent
is that right?
vendor. Yeah, same story. So, yeah, so mine was also, and female as well, so that I don't know if that, makes any difference, but, yeah, knew her style already, but was just blown away when I've turned up. Again, every room styled beautifully. Her husband had actually designed the house himself with no, architectural background. Um he did an amazing job, even the layout of the house, because it wasn't your typical box or rectangle, it was actually specifically designed for that block, for the views, and it was just planned to the millimeter, like, everything was just, yeah, perfectly done. Um, yeah, obviously, he was a clay play target shooter as well, so he'd had, that even, the backyard was set up to suit that as well. So it was, yeah, styled. Every room was styled. It was immaculate. It was clean. It was just, yeah, absolutely beautiful. And I also did video. I went back to do Twilight. So yeah, there was a couple of visits involved just to make sure I got it right, because we knew the money that they wanted for that property was not something that Goulburn sees much of, so it had to be done right.
I always think it's one of those things that people don't consider often when they're building a house. Is like the floor plan is, to me, the design of the floor plan is critical to how it's going to turn out. It's very rare that someone decides to do it themselves with no experience and gets it right. Like, it's very easy to get it wrong.
Oh, he definitely got it right. Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was just looking at the floor plan. So is Goulburn out towards the pool? So do you look at the pool with Goulburn behind?
No, so the actual, if you see the photo that's done at Twilight with the, here, I'll bring it up so I can see. It has the 2 chairs,
Yep, looking out.
looking out, so you can see that little
Yep.
gap in the trees. That is actually Goulburn through that
Oh, cool.
gap.
Yeah, sure.
So they literally sit out that's the left corner of the front of the house, and it's facing towards Goulburn.
Awesome.
Very nice.
Yeah.
And it looks so different between day and night. Like, you look at that pool area
Yep.
versus the 2 shots are completely different.
Yep.
You know, obviously not just because of the lights, but the focus then comes onto the garden as such.
Yeah, even the
Looks awesome.
lighting, they'd planned down to everything. The lighting on in the backyard, lighting up the trees at night. They've got, have a look at the daytime, or even the video, the daytime photos of the back of the pool, and they've got, a water feature.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, it's just everything was just so well thought out and so well designed. It just blew me away when she told me that her husband had done it, because I said, "Wow, he should do this for a job because it's amazing." Yeah.
Yeah. So moving on to the detail, which we've kind of moved on to already, but was from a photography and videography point of view, and also from a considering, I'd love to live in this kind of house type way. Was what specifically was it that that you loved about the detail of the house?
Everything was well thought out. It was spacious. It was unusual, and you don't often have a house where you actually walk in straight into the dining room. And that's, I guess, usually a no-no, but that's what this house was. But it just opened up, and it had multiple living areas. So there's actually the billiard room at the back of the house that I could just live in that room on its own. It just had, it was surrounded by windows. So, out one window, you'd look at the sandstone fire pit. Out the other window, you could see the tennis court. Out the other window, you could see, the views of the trees. And, it was just, no matter where you looked, beautiful fireplace in there as well, billiard table, bar. It was just, but it was secluded at the back of the house as well. So again, forethought was put into that. If you had parties, you could just use that room, open up the big stack of doors, and not have guests trampling all the way through your house. Yeah, just it was just
Perfect.
really beautiful, really well done. Open plan.
I really like the pool room or snooker table room with the wood flooring as well. It's such a nice looking room and the big windows.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I think I could live there as well.
Yep.
Assuming that's self-contained back there too. It looks like there's, bathroom. Is there a bathroom back there and that kind of thing as well?
Yeah, there was a bathroom, but this house also had a granny flat as well. So
Okay.
That's what I was looking at. That's what I assumed was the pool room.
No.
Oh, wow. Okay.
no,
So
the
there's
pool room's got the pool table in it, and then the granny flat, they were using as an additional residence. Well, they actually lived in that whilst the house was being built, but they're renting. Well, they were renting that out as sort of an Airbnb type situation. It just had a 1 bedroom, bathroom, kitchen, and living area in it, and I think they were renting it out. There's a lot of you know wind farms going up around Goulburn, and a lot of the wind farm workers need somewhere to live, obviously. And yeah, they were renting it out as a second income, which basically paid their bills. Yeah,
got it all.
yeah.
Interesting. And I really like the sandstone fireplace outside. It's sort of it's like a circle with 3 or 4 benches around it. Sandstone. Are they sandstone benches or they wood benches?
Yeah, just seats, yeah, just sandstone seats, like, there was no expense spared, like, the amount of money that
Yeah,
they poured into this place was ridiculous, but and just like a massive grassed area up the side of the house, so you can actually see in one of the drone photos I think I took, looking directly down, you can see the sandstone circle, sitting there, and it's just on a massive grassed area, so you can imagine sitting out there having the kids, playing around on the grass of an afternoon
Looks
around.
like a pretty good cricket pitch, to be honest.
Well, could be too. Yeah. It was just so functional.
One question I had: are there actually 2 in-ground hot tubs, or is it just the same one from a different angle where you've been clever?
I've been clever. There's just there's a spa and then there's the big pool, but yeah,
Yeah. You tricked me, so good work.
did
I thought
I?
there were 2. Yeah, yeah.
That's
Yeah,
good.
'cause I really like that photo where it's looking towards the hot tub and the chair behind,
Yep.
and then the other one, it looks much closer to the pool. So, yeah, I thought there were 2. I thought I was getting 2 hot tubs, Tina. What's going on? I'm not buying it now.
I was
Excellent,
going to say,
excellent. Well, it's sold, so
just added some value.
Gorgeous. All right, and
Yeah.
presumably, pretty quiet out that way as well, so you're
yep.
not overlooked by anybody or anything like that?
No, no, I mean, there would be neighbours, but yeah, they'd be, up the road, 5 minutes up the road or something like that, so yeah. Secluded, but not too secluded.
Perfect. Sounds good to me. All right, and then, your one, Liam, so what details, stood out to you?
Well, yeah. So, this had a lot of details in it, and that's what I love. There was lots of like it had a lift, it had sub-zero fridges, it had built-in coffee machines. I'm not sure of the
Built-in
brand, but
coffee machines?
built as in into the kitchen, all that sort of, you know what I mean? So it's not your Nespresso that you just plug in on the bench.
Yeah, okay.
Um, and then it had like your stovetop is in the middle bench. And I did notice that when I rocked in there, there's no exhaust fan, but you press a button and it comes up out of the bench and then sucks in all the air off and then disappears back down once you finish cooking. Had like all the power points that come out of the benches. As I said, a lift. It's got lots of glass around the stairwell to make a feature of the property.
I really, really like that, floating staircase, and
Yeah,
the
it's
photo
cool.
you've taken really shows it off, but it's so pretty.
Yeah, yeah. Well, actually, it's funny. It looks really good, and we've been playing around with polarizing filters and stuff recently, and that just got rid of a lot of the reflection, and it looks like there's actually a glass wall between us and the stairs, and it gets rid of a lot of that, and it looks like it's floating.
Yeah, it really does. You've tricked me as well, so good work.
There you go. No, so just looking at it now, I can see there's a little bit more reflection up top left corner, but it looks great. It really does show off, the property, and it's like Tina said. There's lots of different living areas, but they are actually close together. But it could still be a family home. Often I go to fancy houses, and you're like, this is awesome, but it's not really designed for a family. Like it looks fancy, but there's no thought put into like it feels cold. Whereas this one was a really warm, still beautiful, but a really warm, inviting, like fireplaces in the lounge room that overlooks the beach, but then you've got your TV in there as well. So you can really see you'd live there, you'd watch the sunset, have a fire going in winter. Yeah, it looked awesome. Looked fantastic. Outdoors had the built-in barbecues, fridges out there as well. A gym as well, fully decked out gym. As I said, a lift, and I think that was about it. But yeah, just it was one of those ones where I think he said they built it during COVID or just before COVID. So I think they went a bit all out to make sure it was nice for however long the lockdown went for.
They didn't have to leave the house.
They were set. They were like, no, we are good to go. So like, not nice, not a bad little bunker. So
That window in the main lounge there that looks onto the view of the ocean is absolutely
yeah,
stunning. It's a huge
yeah.
window as well, isn't it?
Absolutely, that's what I mean. That was what I was saying. So you got the lounge there with like as I said, a massive window. The sun would set right outside that window, sort of thing. You get beautiful looks back towards Manly that gets lit up at night. Yeah, it was really really well done. There was a couple of the bedrooms too that looked out over the pool, or they looked out towards the water. So again, just a lot of thought put into it.
And is that North Coco Beach? Is that the one we're looking at?
So yeah, we're looking down towards north Curl Curl would be in your foreground and South Curl Curl would be in your background, and then Harbord Diggers and Freshwater behind that.
Very nice. And the only other thing that stood out, I mean, there's a lot that stood out about this house, but one of the things that I really, really liked is actually the wood fence at the front of the house. I just love that look at that. It's really pretty.
Nice little picket fence, exactly, and it shows up really well. Like, it's just made out of sleepers. Like, I don't know if they're obviously stained sleepers or whatever, but they're all just lined up. Nice little welcome to the property. It was a little bit of a hill to get in there, but it's funny. There's probably about 4 or 5 houses in a row, all obviously a different architect, but with the same inspiration, you could say. So they all look very similar.
Very nice.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's very good. Thanks for describing those to us. Now, the last question is a bit of a cheeky one because you've obviously come on and said that you really liked these houses. So at the end of describing them and enthusing about them, would you like to keep the one you chose or swap with the other person's?
Well, I would probably stick with mine. I love surfing. Not that I get to do it too much these days, but that's sort of more my lifestyle.
If you're 50 yards from the beach, it's more encouraging to go down there, isn't it?
It's exactly right. A lot less excuses if you're that close. So, mind you, I don't know about this shooting thing that Tina's got. That could be interesting as well. I've never shot a gun, but maybe I could get into that.
Can I have Liam's weather and sunshine and
yeah, there you go. Yeah.
That's not part of the deal, Tina. It's all or nothing. Are you going to stick with your country retreat, or are you going to go with a bit of beach?
Yeah, country. I think not a fan of people most of the time. So
that sounds perfect. I did say mine. You could be a bunker. Yeah. You could bunker down in mine and just never leave. So that might go.
That is true. And for what it's worth, although I absolutely love your beachside property, Liam, I'm going with Tina's one. I'm going on the house on the hill where I can see people coming. That's definitely my choice.
Pretend to not be home.
Exactly. Awesome. Well, look, thanks very much for coming on. That's it for this episode. Thanks for sharing your recent shoots. I hope that has enthused people about what we do and given you an idea as to why we love shooting real estate. As I say, we hope you enjoyed listening. We'd love you to subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts. And if you'd like to see more BWRM content, please check the description for our other social links. We'll also link to the 2 properties we've been talking about, so you can have a look at that. And we will see you next time.